Hi guys, Artiar here. So for this video, it's about the Moroyama Esper guide. So basically, it's the video to teach you how to build your Moroyama. Alright, so let's take a look at the skill kit first. Then after that, I'll go through the equipment recommendation, stats recommendation, what the resonance does, and I'll show you my own Moroyama build as well. I'll explain why I build it like that, or why I recommend that equipment. Alright, so Moroyama is a time limited free Esper for most of the players who are able to get. If you are not you don't hit the requirement, don't worry, you are still able to get Moroyama through the usual way, which is gold record or shimmer record. So he is a shimmer Esper, is a fighter type with a leader of 30% buff universal, and S1 inflicts disease and also inflicts defense down for 1 turn. It attacks one enemy for 3 times. So S1 wise isn't something too important or too fancy. I don't really recommend the S1 at all. I don't think it's really that useful. Then passive at the start of his active turn, so it have to be his own action. It cannot be like let's say Avatara trigger his action, or Chuyao trigger his action, or Liam force him to trigger the action. This kind of turn won't make him able to trigger this thing, because he have to take his action turn. So when he takes his action turn, if his HP is above 50%, then he's gonna cast Snake Bite on a random enemy. But this random enemy, to be honest, is not really that random, because after I tested him in the PvP, I feel like, okay, this is just my feeling, I'm not sure it's correct or not. I feel like the random enemy, it will actually target who have the lower percentage or more often. So why I feel it like this is, especially when I'm using Moroyama and enemy have Iki, most of the time, not always, but most of the time when he takes his action, his S2, this random target, actually lands on Iki. I don't know is it purposely or what, but I feels like the S2 lands on Iki more often, right? But it could be really random. And then he will gain himself 2 turns of inhibitor. And what Snake Bite does is attack, it will inflict sear on one enemy first, that enemy first, then attack the enemy for 3 times. This is a good passive that inflicts sear and also deal bonus damage. But the thing is, if this 3 hits on Esper that you don't want to hit, so let's say this 3 hit accidentally kill an enemy, and enemy got Suje, then Suje prevent them to die, and Suje counter attack you with S3 and then hit your Moroyama. Maybe your Moroyama die to that, or maybe your dispel or your buff gone, because your S3 here might accidentally kill someone and trigger the enemy passive. So let's say enemy you have like 9 stack, and then Moroyama takes his action, his S3 accidentally hit on the defender Esper, and because you accidentally hit the defender Esper, the enemy will instantly get 10 stack and count and break dance to you, and then you die. So this S2 is kind of like a double-edged sword. It's like very good to deal extra damage and the sear, but at the same time it might actually mess up with your team as well. So you might want to handle your team nicely, like synergize very nicely to not let him fuck up your team. Okay, then for S3, is where his main showcase is. It will dispel every single buff on that enemy, attack that enemy for 5 times. Then the most important thing is, when the attack is above the enemy, ignores their damage mitigation and 85% of the defense. And not just that, it will actually refresh the skill. Let me add the information here. Alright, I updated to the skill info. So this is very important, because if your attack is not higher than the enemy attack, then you cannot ignore their damage mitigation, you cannot ignore their 85% of the defense. Then this S3 is just a very normal S3. It doesn't really shine too much if your attack is not higher. So let's say you're fighting like enemy Momo, and then enemy Momo have the passive get stacked up like 10 stack, get another 40% extra attack, right? And maybe the enemy Momo is with an attack percent leader. So most of the time, if that's the case, then the Momo attack will be higher than you. Then if Momo attack is higher than you, then you're not able to trigger this damage mitigation. You cannot not able to ignore the enemy defense. Then you are just attacking the enemy with 5 hit. Basically that's it. Nothing too special or too fancy. So your attack have to build very high to ensure him to actually ignore their damage mitigation and 85% of the defense. And at the same time, you have your attack have to crit, because his damage have to crit to actually make him shine his damage. Okay, then if he is able to S3 and kill the enemy, then it will reset this skill. So the next time when he takes his action again, he is able to cast S3 and instantly kill another player, another Esper again. So this is how he works. So Inhibitor, when receiving a debuff, if the attack of the enemy who inflict the debuff is below Moroyama's attack, then it will nullifies the debuff. So you only take this buff when you take your active turn. So if you don't take your active turn, you are not able to get this buff thing. So you'll still get debuffed by enemies. So let's say like taunt, let's say like attack down, all these things you are still able to get unless you take your action first. Then Warrior Reborn, this skill is for the Reso 4-1. I'll cover this part later. Okay, so basically this is what he does and what the skill is. So what is the equipment suggestion? So for my own equipment suggestion, I would recommend you Thunder set, War set plus Fairy set or Light set. So why am I recommending you Thunder set and War set only? Because you want to one-shot the enemy and you want to actually able to crit. So Thunder set is one of the best build you can build for, because you crit on Moroyama is very, very important. If you don't crit the enemy, if you don't one-shot the enemy, then you are the one getting one shot. But why am I also recommending you one War set? Because if you are able to build Thunder set with very, very high crit damage, but if your Thunder set only gives you a small amount of attack, then War set will be better, because the most important thing for your S3 is actually to trigger this attack is above the enemy. So let's say your Thunder set, your crit rate, crit damage is very, very high, but your attack is not higher than enemy, so you're not able to trigger damage mitigation, you're not able to trigger the ignore 85% of defense, then basically this S3 is useless. It won't deal much damage, trust me. So attack set, this War set here is better option only if that War set here have also a good crit damage stats due to his S3 condition, and your attack have to be high, and of course your crit rate have to be high as well. It's a very high requirement. So personally, I am not building him to War set because I don't have a good War set for him. Most of my War set don't really have the requirements or the stats I have for Moroyama, so I'm still using Thunder. But if you have a really good War set, actually War sets benefit more than the crit damage set, because most importantly for Moroyama isn't the crit, is the attack trigger thing, then only the crit. So you can pick one which set benefits you with the more attack or the more crit damage. Make sure your crit rate have to be 100%. Then Fairy set, easier for you to have a stats boost because of the easy crit rate, but I would also recommend Light set for you. So why would I recommend you Light set, since it's a full out DPS, but why would you Light set? So in the current PvP meta, when I'm recording this video, most of the cases you will see a lot of Yuhime, right? Or you will see a lot like Chu Yao, and then let's say in point 1 situation, Chu Yao is building with stun set, then enemy Yuhime is also building like maybe stun set, or don't really need stun set. As long as you AP push in your team, you're gonna get hamstruck. So the only counter for hamstruck and all this stun thing, or actually lower the rate to get stun, is your Light set. So of course, if you build Light set, you have to still maintain your crit rate to be high. So if you build Light set, your crit rate, crit damage and attack still have to maintain very high. But if you build Fairy set, it's easier because you don't have to focus on too much of the crit rate. It's easier to get the stats, right? But if you really want to min-max everything else, Light set is the way to go. So you won't get counter easily by Yuhime, let's say the hamstruck, all those stuff. So this is the equipment stat. Then the stats to focus. So crit rate for sure, crit damage for sure, and it's more important than attack at first, because if you have high attack but if you don't have any crit, then basically you are not dealing too much of a damage in my opinion. So I would say crit rate, crit damage still the highest priority, but then attack stat is very important. Then why I would say HP plus equals to defense and equals to accuracy, because this accuracy is pretty important for, I don't know this spell is it 100% land, but I'm not sure. But the accuracy is for like disease, defense down, seer. Maybe it will come in handy. Let's say this seer apply on the enemy, it will actually come in handy in action. So a little bit seer is good, accuracy is good, but HP and defense is important. It is very squishy, but you want to actually hope he can actually survive in some way, right? So Moroyama is the most squishy Esper in the game, even squishier than Iki, because Iki got a stealth moon protection, but Moroyama, even a single target unit can hit him, but the strongest DPS in the game because he can one-shot any Esper in the game. But as usual, what I said, your attack have to trigger the condition, and then you must able to crit. Why am I saying you must able to crit? Imagine Chu Yao apply the Spirit Aegis on that target, and then you hit the target, you can't crit, you are dealing 0 damage. Okay, so you want to have high crit rate, all of stuff, and if you want to counter the enemy Chu Yao Spirit Aegis, you have to put Everett R6 in the team to share the crit rate plus 100% effect to Moroyama, so Moroyama able to one crit on the Spirit Aegis target. Then for the resonance, so R1, before an ally takes action, Moroyama AP plus 90% triggers once per battle. This part here, if your team is faster, it will trigger instantly at the start of the battle, so you won't get affected by Yuhime Hamstruck. But if you are slower, then you trigger it after enemy take their action, which is it have to AP push at that time. Then that moment will get triggered by Yuhime. So if you want to see more details about this part, I have the video for it. You can go check that one out. It's more clear instead of trying to explain this. I think this one, the video part, is more easier. Then R2 here, before casting S3, you instantly get attack up. So this R2 here will let you get rid of the War set and go to Thunder set, because this attack up is 40% total stats boost. So with this attack up, most of the time, I would say 99% of the situation, you are able to one-shot the enemy, and you are kind of guaranteed that your attack is higher than the enemy, because you have the attack up buff while you will dispel the enemy buff, right? But there's the final 1% chance after you have the attack up and you are still not able to trigger this, is maybe Momo's passive, because Momo passive can go up to 40% attack, and maybe there's extra stats. So let's say like Sakura R6 giving extra stats, or let's say Yamato R2 giving extra stats. Then maybe these stats stack up, and even your attack up won't actually out attack the enemy. So it really depends on the situation. But when you have R2, most of the time you can actually just go pure thunder already. You don't have to go war set. Okay, then upon killing the enemy, you instantly get 1 bonus turn, and you can trigger once per battle. So you can like at the start of combat, you get AP push first. So after your fastest Esper, you take action, you S3 with attack up, you kill someone, you reset your skill, and then you get another bonus turn. You can S3 to kill someone again. So I would say R1 and R2 is pretty much where he starts to be even fun. I'm not saying R0 is not fun. I would say it's even fun. It's a quality of life Reso changes. Then the R4 here, when he's gonna die, for the first time, he'll prevent himself from dying and recover HP, and then gains Warrior Reborn for 1 turn, and then triggers his reset his S3. So what is Warrior Reborn is, if he have the Warrior Reborn buff on him, he cannot die, he cannot get inflicted but with debuff. But keep note, he cannot inflicted with debuff, but he will still remain the debuff he had previously. So let's say he have Taunt on him at before he go into Warrior Reborn. If he go Warrior Reborn, then you want to try to taunt him, you can't, because he can't inflict debuff. But if you already taunt him and you kill him, because he won't die, so the taunt will remain on him, and he won't cleanse it, because it will only ignore the upcoming debuff. So if you already apply the debuff on him before him getting the Warrior Reborn, then he will still get the debuff like attack down, defend down, or taunt, all those stuff. Okay, then so if he take his action and he didn't kill anyone, then he will die. But if he able to kill someone within his Warrior Reborn, then he will fully recover his HP. This is only able to trigger once per battle. Okay, so the only counter for you to actually counter him is to apply Taunt before he get Warrior Reborn, or CD up him to make him not able to cast his S3. Pretty much that's the only counter when you are facing for Moroyama. Then R6 Moroyama with any Esper dies, including the enemy Moroyama, including the enemy Esper and also my Esper, Moroyama AP will increase by 35% and immunity to AP down. I don't think the R6 effect here really changes too much. In my opinion, I think R1, R2 and R4 changes more. But if it's R0 playable, totally playable, just that it's harder in auto content because the AI just be hit when whoever have the lower HP, then it will actually miss some of the Esper you actually want to one-shot first, so for example Wu Yu. Okay, so this is the infographic guide, and I'm going to show you what I actually built for my Moroyama. Okay, so this is my Moroyama. So this is the Thunder set and Light set Moroyama. So you have to make him very slow. He doesn't need speed. And then, okay, even though this is my R1 Moroyama, right? But you don't really want him to have speed even in R0. You don't want speed at all. Then you want him to be 100% crit rate. You want him to have high crit damage and also high attack. Alright, so you can see here my stats is pretty enhanced pretty good. You can see this is very important for the crit rate. Because of this row here, that's why I'm able to use Light set. If without this row, it's pretty hard because you need to find more crit rate stats, equipment boost. Okay, then I'm going for Light set. As I mentioned, I didn't boost this one. As I mentioned, why I'm going for Light set is because I don't want to get hamstruck by the enemy, and then I want to get AP push. Because if I play Moroyama, I most probably is going to pair him with like Abigail or Fabrice to AP push. So I'm going to AP push him a lot. I don't want him to get hamstruck. I don't want him to get debuff or get cut off. So in my opinion, I will prefer Light set, but I also show you my Thunder set one. So this is Thunder and Fairy. So I will have an easier crit rate buff because of the Fairy set. I will have a slightly higher attack. I will have a better crit damage. But in exchange, I am not able to get immune by debuff. So let's say enemy Chuya, maybe this Light set will actually prevent me to getting stunned. Then it might actually benefits in long run. So it really depends on you, but in my opinion, this is how am I going to build. But as I mentioned, why am I not building him in attack set? Because I don't really have a very good attack set. So let's say crit damage here. I want crit rate, crit damage and attack. I've only two options, and the two option isn't that good. And then let's say this one. You see, my option wise isn't that good. It's not like many options for me to pick off. Like I can build, but in the end, I tested, right, the attack stat doesn't really changes too much, and I lose a lot of crit damage. So I don't really have too much of attack good war stat for him, so that's why I built Thunder set. Then Divinate wise, do you think it's important? I would say it's pretty important, and not the important is not because of the effect. The healing wise doesn't really matter too much because you actually die anyway. Like if you max HP, you're still gonna die anyway. But the Divinate here benefit him from the stats boost. The 900 attack here is pretty important, so the base attack as well. So if you really enjoy Moroyama, I think I see a lot of players enjoying Moroyama in manual content, the point war. It's pretty fun, but he requires pretty high stats, especially attack, crit damage, and crit rate. Okay, so that's all for this video today. Hope this video actually helped you guys out for who requested for the how to build Moroyama. Okay, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and see you guys in the next video. Bye bye. Special thanks for the direct support on the YouTube membership. So for the benefactor of Artiar, which is JNMP, Rosas15, Mulkut Rajali, The Bluest Shalane, Cami, thank you so much for the support. And for the supporter and patron of Artiar, which is Louis Schneider, Agni, Code Wilderness, Wang Tamer, Ziggy, Kamaruki, Sunwaltz, Rimu, Shawnee, Von Hexa, Rawson Bessie, Antonio Winterspoon, Marilyn Williams, Uncle Chat, Eric Mendes, Ewan Carrigan, Riku Freds X Iris, and Calamity, thank you so much for the support. And that's not all. Also special thanks for the direct support on the live stream super chat for the latest 10. So special thanks to Amy, Calamity, Agni, Valento, Tay, Aisha, Code Wilderness, Riku Fred, and Choni. Thank you so much for the support, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.